is January 11th, 2026. I don't know. Emotionally, I don't know where to go. Because this is just insanity. It's absolute insanity. Um, there were a lot of things going on behind the scenes. I will say that 2013, when I moved into my apartment, there was a guy that walked into my apartment, and I was like, what the hell? And he was the first sign that something was off. So I already knew then, but then they kept it pretty quiet. They kept the drugging and the RAPing and the torture pretty quiet from me because I was just trying to survive. I think it was 4 months before I even got a heater. Um, and I was with my cats. I'm assuming that the RAPing wasn't that bad at the time. It was probably just Michael May. Yeah, maybe a couple other people. I think as I kept getting like 2 jobs and keeping my apartment and everything, and obviously that's not what they wanted. And I wasn't getting pregnant. I wasn't really fooling around with anyone because my heart was angels. My heart was angels. Even at 28, my heart was always angels. Yeah. I'm pretty sure Angel and I were pretty much same mindset until 2019 was really when everything kind of blew up in my face. Maybe even 2017 was me and Angel when he blew up in my face. So that might have been it. I don't know. No, 2019 was when Angel and I disassociated. Anyhow, that's not really why I'm making this. Out of the high caliber people in positions of very high power, high authority, that I know have executed me, basically, electrocuted me, tried to fragment my mind, did other torture, steal my blood, steal my eggs, my DNA, mock me, exploit me on cameras, implant chips in my body for observation purposes, made me a huge science experiment. For these people in high places of power. Maybe I didn't realize the scope of everything in the sense of that, the way you realize it. Because I realize the scope. But I guess you could say I'm a little autistic because the scope is irrelevant. What's relevant is change. There needs to be a change. I remember when I was younger, I told myself, I was never afraid of death. I never was. I was afraid of suffering. So that's what you did. You brought my greatest fear to life. What good did it do you? Let's talk about morality. I can appreciate a killer who kills for the purpose of justice or defense. I can appreciate that. But there's a fine line between killing for a cause and torture. If they enjoy it, that's when it becomes that gray area. So let's not talk about the gray area. Let's just talk about black and white. Black and white. You all knew that I was going to be an heir of a lot of territory, of a lot of property, a lot of finances. And you chose very strategically, premeditatedly, to keep it against me, to hold it, withhold the information, even though the previous, my predecessor actually put that information out there and for it to get to me at the time of their death. And yet you chose otherwise. So that it really is black and white. You chose the devil. You chose against honor. You chose to go against your oaths that you solemnly sweared on your hearts to honor. You have no loyalty, no respect for God, for the creator of this world, for the prophets that came to elevate us. They weren't here to restrict us. They were here to teach us to be the best version of what we can be. Jesus Christ, we spit in his face. Let's talk about morality. When I was in community college at VVC, Victor Valley Community College in Victorville, there was a black guy. He was probably in his 30s. I was in my 20s. He needed tutoring with math so that he could become an electrician. And so I was really excited because I love math. So I taught him, and he and I developed a really good friendship. We were friends even after he no longer was being tutored by me. They constantly are on my door for no reason. Aside from that, maybe I should turn off my Bluetooth. Aside from that, these people here are just such nuisances. They're like gnats. You know, the more harassment I get, the smaller I see these people as. Really. Like they have no real purpose in life. Anyway, I digress. BBC, I don't remember his name. We were friends for a while. He had a pretty unstable relationship with another woman. He was always hitting on me. I wasn't about black guys. I mean, you know, I never really dated black guys. I wasn't really attracted to too many. And just the culture out there in Southern California, they just weren't my type. Anyhow, no disrespect to black men. There's been some very handsome black men, so don't take it as a racial thing. Especially since I am like 50% black. I remember we were driving. I forgot. I think he was driving me home or something, or driving me. I don't know. I think we went out to hang out, eat something. And no, he was driving. I was on the phone with him. This is the first time it happened. And he was telling me how he got into an argument with this woman, his significant other, and she made a scene outside of his house. And she was like, no, you need to drive me home, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And he told me, he said, yeah, so I drove her home. He said, but... Actually, he said, no, I didn't drive her home. He didn't drive her home. He said, I drove her to a park. He took 3 of his other friends, and he's a big guy. And he beat the crap out of her and left her in the park. Because how dare she embarrass and humiliate him on his own property? When he told me that story, I never thought he was that kind of person. I wasn't sure how to take it. It took me a couple days to digest. I got off the phone with him pretty immediately, pretty abruptly. And after 3 days, I called him. And I told him how I felt. I said, you know, that really disturbed me. Because you could have called the cops. He said, I don't like cops. I said, that's not the point. You would have been in the right. If you would have called the cops, they could have taken her off your property. You could get a restraining order. There's so many ways you can go about this, but you chose to batter her. Not just by yourself, which you were capable of doing, but you got 3 of your friends to do it too. What'd they do? Break her jaw, bust her kneecaps, so she couldn't leave at a park. So I told him I couldn't talk to him anymore. He was like, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Because if you're willing to do that to her, if I disagree with you, what are you willing to do to me?" And it was hard because we had already developed like almost a year, of friendship, and we saw each other every day. We talked every day. But my moral compass, it's self-preservation. If you're gonna do that to another woman, you're gonna do that to me. Yes, I understand people can change. I changed. I was violent with Antonio, with Alberto. Antonio, I was so young and so not in control of my emotions. And I had no idea that I was being abused all the time at home. So, but that's not an excuse. I should have never been violent. I should have never punched him. And I only punched him like maybe twice, but still, I should have never done it. But I can own to that. That was my mistake. That's why when I got with Angel, I didn't. I wanted to hit him, but I didn't because I knew better. I knew it was wrong. And I knew it wouldn't grow our relationship. And that's what I wanted with him. Little did I know that he was going to be in another relationship with somebody else. Maybe that's why the 4 times I asked him to marry me, he said no. So I wanted to tell that story because Elon Musk obviously tortured me. He has the technology to do psychological electrocution. He also trafficked women using containers at, what do you call them? Shipyards. He obviously has the power, the money, the sway, and of course, FBI Director Kash Patel as well, the orchestrator of all of it. That's why I was in the experiment as other targeted individuals. That's why I have about 4 chips, 4 transmitters in my brain, 4 GPS trackers in dentals. These are all US patents that you can look up. OCHR.org, or even Google directed energy weapons for targeted individuals PDF. I think it's Viaceta, VIACETA .pdf. It'll show you all the US patents. Well, not all of them. All the public ones, let's put it that way. Since 1951, I believe. I looked at a few of them. That was what I was actually trying to put on Digital Deep Dive Corporation on my nonprofit. That was the next couple videos I was in transit to doing earlier this year. Around July, when I came back after being gang RAP'd at South Rim in Arizona. Anyway, I gotta make this short. I just wanted to bring up that concept. Hopefully I can upload this. I just wanted to inform you guys about that moral standpoint. I know people can change, but when you're in the business to doing it for business, there is no change. So if you can stop putting so much bull crap on the algorithm on YouTube, Elon Musk, I'd appreciate it. You have nothing more to say to me. But I do appreciate the wisdom that you have given other people over this amount of time. But you committed high treason against me. And I don't know how that's probably why you guys got out of the United Nations, because then you'd really have to be held responsible for what you did to a non-citizen of royal descent and authority. And I thank certain people for fighting on my behalf. I'm very grateful. Thank you. And before I can't upload this, I'm going to shut up now.